Their scam is unraveling, their excuses are collapsing, and their fear is palpable. Let's expose the whole mess, guys. Watch this. When you think Republicans couldn't sink any lower in their gaslighting campaign, they dig up a shovel and prove you wrong. In this Senate hearing, we watch GOP Senator Coons pretend to care about rehabilitation while pushing a bill that sounds decent but hides a deeper rot. Let's dissect the hypocrisy hiding beneath this sweet-sounding Republican bipartisanship.
Thank you, Mr. McGovern. Mr. Norman, you're recognized.
Well, thank both of you for taking time to come out. Let me just say, you know, the American people are excited about these cuts, the rescissions. You know, Mr. McGovern, it's up to you to propose your cuts. I never saw anything during the Biden administration that you proposed at any level other than more government, more and more government. And the American people are sick.
Defense cuts.
$9 billion.
A lot of them.
That I wish were far greater. Hopefully in the next rescission package, we will double that amount. And what Elon Musk has done is to reveal to the taxpayers where their money's going. I can name a list of them, starting with the $135 million to the World Health Organization, gone. $158 million to the Lebanese peacekeeping mission, gone. $3 million for the Iraqi Sesame Street, gone. $6 million for net zero cities in Mexico, gone. This is just a list. You can parse any one of them and object to them, but I've never seen, you'll spend other people's money, but you won't give the money back to the taxpayers and the economy. Mr. McGovern, you know, it's so rude for you to interrupt. This is my time.
Yeah, it's
I don't interrupt you, and it's not your time. You know, you and Jerry Nadler, you know, you've never seen anybody that you don't want to interrupt. It's not only can you not understand when two people are talking, I've never interrupted you one time, and you need to get some manners to you. But all I'll say is that what we're doing, what this president is doing, is making this country over again. The economy is showing it. Would you like to say anything?
Thank you, Mr. Norman. I just an observation. Look, and if it sounds like my colleague appropriator, Democrat appropriator, and I have disagreements, we do, but yet we have a great relationship, we do. And so we do have serious disagreements. I, however, have zero doubt of her fierce trying to protect, right, the power of the purse. And that there we agree. And so, but Mr. Norman, I may be wrong, but this rescission, yes, is to spend a little bit less money, which I think is a good thing. And by the way, this is a process that's in law. So when one may complain about, you know, the process, but this is a process that's established in law. I don't know, and I may be wrong, I don't remember the outrage when, for example, a Democratic president decided to spend money that was neither authorized nor appropriated. And then, by the way, when the Supreme Court of the United States said that's unconstitutional, he kept doing it anyways. Now, again, I want to be respectful. I may be wrong, because you all are here all the time and you all discuss these things. So from what I'm hearing, it must be that all of you agreed during that moment that when a president spent more money that was neither authorized or appropriated by Congress, and then the Supreme Court said, hey, that's unconstitutional, and he did it anyways, I'm sure that was bipartisan outrage. Of course it must have been, right? But we know it wasn't. Here, what we're dealing with is $9 billion through a legislative legal process. You mentioned some of the issues that are cut. And I just think that this is a responsible, reasonable proposal, which is why I'm respectfully supporting it. And thank you for yielding me some of your time, sir.
Well, I'd say, too, that it's a teardrop in the ocean compared to what we owe, and where my Democrat friends are just willing to bankrupt this country and spend us into oblivion. We're not, and we're making strides, and we're going to continue to make strides. And what I was going to say earlier, Mr. McGovern keeps mentioning Epstein. during the 4 years of the Biden administration, what did we hear from them? They had information then. Crickets, nothing. What did they hear on the information they buried on January 6th? Crickets, nothing. So this is a day of transparency, and it's a day that we're going to identify a lot of problems. Overspending is one of them. I look forward to many more rescission cuts, including the pocket rescissions.
Mr. Norman.
Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Norman. Ms. Scanlon, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairwoman. And we do, I think everyone on this side of the aisle wants to thank Mr. Norman for his vote.
So here we have Senator Chris Coons, a so-called moderate, throwing softballs about rehabilitation and probation reform. He praises a supposedly bipartisan bill, the Safer Supervision Act, that claims to lighten the load on federal probation officers and focus resources on those most in need. Sounds great, right? But here's the trick. Republicans have always been masters of weaponizing buzzwords and fake compassion to put a progressive mask over regressive intent. Let's break it down. First off, this bill is being sponsored by the likes of Senator John Cornyn and Senator Tom Cotton, two of the most hawkish, anti-reform, pro-incarceration Republicans in Congress. Cornyn, who backed Trump to the bitter end, Cotton, who literally wants to see more incarceration, the same Cotton who said, quote, "We have a problem with under-incarceration in this country." That man is now supposedly championing criminal justice reform? Please. This is a classic GOP play. Dress up a rollback as a reform. By streamlining supervision, what they really mean is cutting budgets and throwing people out of the system with little support, and then blaming them when they reoffend. This bill pretends to reward people who rehabilitate, but let's be real, it's another backdoor effort to deregulate and privatize the justice system, removing the state's responsibility to actually support returning citizens. Coons parrots Republican talking points like, they may reoffend if left to their own free will. That's dog whistle nonsense. The GOP is obsessed with controlling people they've criminalized. The problem isn't free will. The problem is the systemic failure to provide housing, health care, and employment opportunities after prison. But you won't hear that from Coons or the Republicans behind this bill. Let's also talk about this bipartisanship charade. When the GOP talks about being tough on crime, it's always a cover for being tough on poor people and black and brown communities. And when they suddenly act like they care about rehabilitation, it's not a change of heart. It's a PR move. It's a fig leaf for decades of damage, for red states stacking prisons for profit, for broken families, and entire communities locked up for petty drug offenses while white-collar crooks walk free. And let's not ignore the timing. As Republicans push for stricter voter suppression laws and scream about law and order, they suddenly want to look compassionate. It's all optics. The same GOP that gutted the Voting Rights Act and blocked police reform now wants credit for tossing crumbs at ex-prisoners. And who's standing next to them in this? Chris Coons, a Democrat so desperate to appease GOP donors and centrists that he's handing the far right a rehab rebrand on a silver platter. So let's be absolutely clear. This isn't reform. It's rebranding, it's manipulation, and it's dangerous. But oh no, the show isn't over. Just when you think they couldn't pander harder, Clip Part 2 brings in more smoke and mirrors to justify this warped sense of justice. Watch this next part closely. It's a masterclass in distraction and dishonesty.
Gentlelady from North Carolina reserves. Gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized.
We're prepared to close.
Okay.
All right,
Gentleman's recognized.
I will close, Mr. Speaker. I yield myself the remaining time.
The gentleman's recognized.
Mr. Speaker, before I close, let's talk about what's actually in front of us. This rescission package is a joke. Republicans passed a massive tax giveaway for the rich, one of the most expensive in history. That giveaway was 450 times the size of these rescissions. And every single Republican who spoke tonight voted to add $4 trillion to the debt. Every single one of them. And this isn't even good policy or process. It's rushed. It's sloppy. Even Republicans in the Senate are warning about the consequences. But the House majority doesn't care. They're more interested in headlines than outcomes. And once again, it's everyday people who paid the price. Now, let us end where we started, the Epstein files. Republicans can take a real vote today. a vote that will put them on the side of truth and justice, a vote to tell victims, we hear you, we see you, we will not protect the powerful at your expense. But instead, they are choosing cowardice. They are choosing obedience to Trump. And so they cooked up this non-binding resolution, a press release pretending to do something. So let's be clear. You either vote to release the files or you vote to bury them. And if every Republican votes to block our attempt to release the records, they are telling Epstein's victims, you don't matter as much as our political convenience. And that should disgust every single one of us. This place deserves better. This country deserves better. And the victims, most of all, deserve the truth. Release the Epstein files. Release the Epstein files. Release the files. I yield back.
Gentlemen, yield.
Now we enter the real theater, where they trot out the phrase re-entry like it's some magical cure-all. Halfway houses, rehabilitation, second chances. What a lovely fantasy, until you remember who's selling it. Here's the truth. Republicans have systematically underfunded re-entry programs for decades. They've slashed housing support, gutted addiction services, and demonized mental health care. And now they expect us to believe they care about halfway houses? Spare us. Let's talk numbers. According to the Bureau of Justice statistics, nearly 2/3 of released prisoners are rearrested within 3 years. Why? Because they're thrown back into society with no job, no health care, no stable housing, and a mountain of legal restrictions that make it illegal for them to succeed. And what has the GOP done in response? Expanded private prison contracts, criminalized homelessness, and pushed so-called work requirements that punish people for being poor. So when the GOP says re-entry, what they mean is get back out there and sink or swim. And spoiler alert, they build the system so most people sink. And don't think this is just incompetence, it's by design. Republican lawmakers like Cotton and Cornyn want high recidivism. It feeds the prison industrial complex they've profited off for years. It justifies their bloated police budgets. It keeps black and brown communities over-policed and under-supported. And it gives them a political punching bag every election cycle. What's most insulting in this clip is the suggestion that many people deserve a second chance. Oh, really? Many? How generous? Who gets to decide who's deserving? The same system that over-polices poverty and underfunds opportunity. This is not justice. It's selective mercy. And it's being wielded like a tool to reinforce the same oppressive status quo they pretend to be fixing. Let's not be fooled by soft words and bipartisan window dressing. This hearing was not a conversation about reform. It was a calculated performance to rehabilitate the GOP's broken image on justice, while quietly doubling down on policies that hurt the most vulnerable. From empty promises about streamlined supervision to the cynical use of halfway houses as political cover, the Republicans here, with the complicity of weak Democrats like Coons, are not offering real solutions. They're repackaging cruelty with a smile. They claim to be helping people re-enter society, but their real goal is to cut costs, deflect blame, and protect a carceral state that feeds their power. And we see through it. This is why progressives fight so hard. Because while they talk about rehabilitation, we fight for transformation. While they cling to the same punishment-first mindset, we fight for justice that heals. And while they manipulate the narrative, we expose the truth every single time. Don't let this Republican rebrand scam slip by unnoticed. Smash that like button, share this breakdown with someone who still believes their lies, and drop a comment calling out their hypocrisy. And if you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Join us in the fight to expose the right and protect democracy.